Hello, machinists. This time, we will introduce the installation methods for radial and axial milling holders. Let's learn the correct way to install and adjust the holders. First, let's check the items we need to prepare. The holder to be installed, anti-rust lubricant spray, cleaning rags, safety glasses, a dial gauge and magnetic stand, and a mirror. Turret preparation. First, ensure there are no chips or debris on the turret mounting surface. Clean it thoroughly with a cleaning rag. Also, make sure there are no chips inside the bolt holes by blowing them out with compressed air. When using compressed air for cleaning, chips may scatter, so always wear safety glasses. Once cleaning is complete, remove the plug from the cutting oil outlet. Finally, remove the turret plug attached to the turret surface. The turret plug is tapped, so insert a bolt that matches the thread and pull it out. Apply anti-rust lubricant spray to the turret. Now, the turret side preparation is complete. Milling holder preparation. At this time, check if there is an O-ring on the cutting oil outlet. If there is no O-ring, attach an O-ring of the appropriate size. Next, apply anti-rust lubricant spray. To make installation easier, apply the spray around the entire circumference of the O-ring on the cylindrical part. Finally, adjust the holder's tang to the correct orientation. Adjust it so that it aligns with the mounting direction. It should be in this orientation. Now, the holder side preparation is complete. Radial milling holder installation. Now, let's actually install the radial milling holder onto the turret. Before installation, position the turret and move the axis to a location that makes installation easier. During installation, to prevent the holder from falling due to its own weight, perform the installation in a position other than downward to ensure safety. Insert the holder straight into the turret hole until the O-ring is engaged. When the O-ring part is reached, rock it up and down while gradually pushing it in. If it becomes tilted or stops going in, tap the tilted side with your hand to straighten it and insert it again. When it is close to the mounting surface, use the palm of your hand to push it in straight with force. Once the turret surface and holder surface are in contact, insert and tighten the bolts. Later, we will adjust and check the mounting accuracy, so only tighten the bolts temporarily for now. This completes the holder installation. Collet installation. Attach the collet for mounting the tool to the milling holder's cap. Ensure there is no dirt on the cap or collet and wipe them clean with a cleaning rag. Check the shape of the back side of the cap. The round part is elliptical. Align the collet diagonally with the recessed part of the ellipse. Push the protruding part on the opposite side into the cap. You will hear a click, and if the cap surface and collet surface are flat, the installation is complete. Run-out check. Next, check the mounting accuracy. Mounting accuracy greatly affects machining accuracy and tool life, so be sure to check it. Check if the holder is mounted straight by performing a run-out check. First, attach the collet and cap to the holder. Insert the straight pin into the installed collet and tighten it. Next, attach the dial gauge to the magnetic stand. Mount the magnetic stand to a fixed part of the machine and adjust the dial gauge so that it touches the shank part you just installed. Once adjusted, move the Z-axis of the turret with the holder attached and check for any tilt by observing the dial gauge value. Move the milling holder from end to end and adjust the holder's tilt so that the value does not change. If the holder has a ground surface, you can use it to adjust the tilt. Place the dial gauge on the ground surface to check and adjust the tilt. Once the tilt adjustment is complete, tighten the bolts. Applying force to one point at a time may distort the adjusted tilt, so apply force evenly by tightening diagonally little by little. This completes the runout check and adjustment. When performing the final tightening of the radial milling holder, if the shape allows the use of a torque wrench, tighten it to the appropriate torque. X and Y axis center adjustment. First, execute M471 in MDI mode to release the Y-axis interlock. Attach the dial gauge and magnetic stand used for the runout check to the chuck. Call up the radial milling holder and move the X-axis so that the tool mounting part is at the spindle center. Move the Z-axis so that the dial gauge touches the taper part of the tool mounting section. Check the contact at 2 diagonal points on the X-axis of the chuck. If there is a misalignment, adjust the X-axis. Once the X-axis adjustment is complete, check the contact at 2 diagonal points on the Y-axis. And adjust the Y-axis if there is a misalignment. Once the Y-axis adjustment is also complete, finally, check if the contact is even at 4 points on the X and Y axes. X and Y axis geometry setting. Once centering is complete, on the tool geometry compensation screen, measure X 0 and Y 0. Press the offset button. On the screen, tap the geometry button. Select the X-axis and the turret number where the holder is mounted. Enter the X0 value. After entering, tap the Measure button on the screen. Next, enter the Y0 value. Tap the Measure button again. The X and Y-axis centering adjustment is now complete. Axial milling holder installation. Next, let's introduce the installation method for the axial milling holder. As with the radial milling holder, prepare the turret. Once the turret side is ready, check if there is an O-ring on the holder's cutting oil outlet. If there is no O-ring, attach an O-ring of the appropriate size. Now, let's actually install the axial milling holder onto the turret. Before installation, position the turret and move the axis to a location that makes installation easier. During installation, to prevent the holder from falling due to its own weight, perform the installation in a position other than downward to ensure safety. Next, apply anti-rust lubricant spray around the entire circumference of the O-ring on the holder's cylindrical part. Then, adjust the orientation of the holder's tang. Align the coolant hole on the axial milling holder correctly with the coolant hole on the turret. Insert the holder straight into the turret hole until the O-ring is engaged. When the O-ring part is reached, rock it up and down while gradually pushing it in. If it becomes tilted or stops going in, tap the tilted side with your hand to straighten it and insert it again. When it is close to the mounting surface, use the palm of your hand to push it in straight with force. Once the turret surface and holder surface are in contact, insert and tighten the bolts. This completes the holder installation. In this video, we only set the geometry compensation for the X and Y axes of the radial milling holder, but in actual use, compensation for other axes is also necessary. We'll cover the full process in an upcoming video. We have introduced the installation methods for radial and axial milling holders. If you found this content helpful, please subscribe to our channel and give us a high rating. See you, machinists!